Memorial Monday at home. Yeah, it was more work than I really had anticipated. I had to do the new computers came in, so I had to hook those
Got
up.
your printers all fixed?
That's Peter Gabriel. Also quite soothing. A little earlier we did 5 minutes of Morgan Freeman's voice from different movies that he'd been in. That was really soothing. I found Morgan Freeman's voice like white noise that you could sleep to, kind of. It was great. We'll do that again for you later. A lot of requests for some of you that came in halfway through that or that missed it entirely. And this is a moment you don't want to miss. Each and every Monday at 11 o'clock, we welcome Dr. Anita Wang in for a conversation about health and wellness. Dr. Wang has a great wellness facility here in Laguna Beach. As I often mention, she is first and foremost a scientist, an emergency room surgeon, and a wellness practitioner here in town. We welcome in for the conversation Dr. Anita Wang. Good morning.
Good morning.
I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you.
It has. It feels like over a year. It's just like so many things happening, and we're enjoying the June gloom,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Yes.
May gray, June gloom. We forgot to come up with a rhyme for July, July in the gray sky, or whatever. I don't know. We're going for something.
Well, so it was really cool that I could be halfway around the world and then have you in my ear and listening to you walk in the streets of Glasgow and Dublin and wherever I was, and just listen to the tunes and listen to your voice. It just was like surreal that I'm still connected, even though I haven't seen you for, I think I have to be sad to say, I listened to you more while I was over there than I'm here, because life has just been going fast and furious right now.
So thank you, first of all. You were in England. You were looking at schools for your son.
Yes.
And while walking the streets of Manchester and all these cool, I like to know that you're listening. That's very
it's
cool.
Totally awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it was evening there, obviously.
So 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock is, so I know prior to that I'm gonna get you snoozing.
Right.
And then I could be right on at 3 o'clock. I get to hear the countdown and
so cool.
hear all the local stuff that's going on. So yeah, it was great. So 3 o'clock is when it starts over there.
So it's funny you mentioned England and that you happen to be there. So we had gotten a new computer system here at the radio station, and back and forth, ironing out all the bugs as you do when you have almost 1 million songs to play. The IT people are actually in England and in Manchester specifically.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah, so I should have had you drop by the office and say hello and maybe help them iron out the bugs that we have.
We walked all over Manchester, let me tell you. We got our steps in. You're talking about your steps in your new hip? Yeah. We're getting 28,000 easy, no problem.
Wow. All right, yeah, you're putting me to shame with the amount of steps. Well, congratulations. Welcome back. Delighted to have you. You were missed. The information that we were able to garner from you on health and wellness was absolutely exceptional for the listeners and for me included. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Vision. You asked me a great question. How's your vision? I have these are reading glasses. Without them, a little tough. But I know friends who've gotten cataract surgery, or they're suffering from cataracts and are about to get it. What can you tell us about cataracts?
Well, I mean, it is the lens of the eye that gets damaged, so it starts to get thickened, discolored. Sometimes you'll get, in addition to just the lens itself, the eye maybe changes its shape, so distortion. So a lot of things going on in the eye. And pretty much with conventional medicine, we just said, oh, it's in genetics, you're just destined to have it, it's just part of aging, it's part of there.
I always thought it was.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, as part of aging is all influenced by several factors that it kind of boils down to. Is basically your nutrition, your gut health. So there is a connection with your gut, can you believe it, to your eyes, to your brain.
Hard to believe.
Because, so there's definitely the brain, we call the gut the second brain. and then it's connected in the optic nerve is in there. So if there's inflammation and irritate, right? So you have also with diabetes, you have high blood sugar. When you have more sugar floating in your system, you have more clogged vessels, not good circulation, so microcirculation goes. So what are the microcirculations? The hearing, we talked about the hearing. So those bones are very delicate, and you have very fine blood vessels going there, and same to the eyes. So when you have diabetes, diabetics know that they get their eyes checked regularly. They're looking to see if they're having those micro damages and things like that. And so that's also related with the lens. Also head trauma. So people who like to do, like my boys, I feel, oh my gosh, I don't know, maybe I was doing a disservice. There's a lot of banging on the head there with sparring and things. But head trauma is also increases your risk.
So a concussion can lead to poor vision permanently, or is that?
Yeah. So earlier development of cataracts,
okay.
Right? So that's going to be any traumatic brain injury. So anything that's inflammation that's causing it. So if your gut is off, all of those things are contributing factors. If you tend to eat more just white food and not colorful foods, right? And then having the hormones imbalanced, because you're going to have, it's the HPA axis, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the thyroid, adrenals, and the adrenals. All of those are producing your hormones, and those hormones are also helping your vision. So all of those things. So and then if you have genetic mutations,
right,
in your glutathione, where you don't actually clear things, you're going to have more inflammation. So there's a whole host of. So on functional medicine is looking to see how optimal your body is functioning, and lifestyle is doing those things that will decrease it. So that so not smoking, right? Eating less sugar,
So let me ask you this. So I grew up with my mom constantly telling me eat more carrots for better vision. And I wonder if that is because carrots are great for the gut, or is it just specifically something that's great for vision, or that combination?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both, because it's got beta carotene. So zeaxanthin is one of those things that comes from your foods. Anything colorful, dark leafy greens, anything with the yellow colors, the bell peppers. So any of those goji berries, all of those things are great for the eyes and just in general, antioxidants. So all of those lutein and the astaxanthin, all of those antioxidants. So beta carotene, carrots, vitamin A, yeah, it's good for the eyes.
I love carrots.
Yeah.
I love carrots. They're delicious. And you mentioned that the eyeball itself can change shape, or it no longer is round. How does that happen? That seems really odd to me.
Yeah, so just like you've seen people, they get older, their nose seems to get longer.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I always thought that was because of a skinnier face for some reason. Am I wrong there too?
Things change.
Okay.
You lose structure, you lose collagen, you lose fluid, hydration. The muscles pulling, changing, and so yes, you can get astigmatism in the eye. So they're, the laser, what they're doing on the eye is changing the shape of the eye so people can see better. So people who have wear glasses, they don't want to wear glasses anymore, and they get the laser treatments. They're changing the shape of the eye. So that's going to affect your vision, and so things do happen with that. You get little saggy jowls, your eye can take a left turn for some reason.
I'm looking at my nose right now. I'm like, all right, well, my nose has been this big forever, and hopefully it doesn't get any bigger. So I noticed you don't wear glasses. Have you had cataract surgery, or you just have great vision and you've taken care of your gut your entire life?
No, I definitely have an issue. So if you want my personal story,
Please.
It's kind of weird, but
I've never seen you wear glasses.
well, I did. But I thought it was COVID that did it. But so I guess I'll give you the long story. So
that's why you're here, Dr. Wang.
I was like, everybody's gonna know everything about me. But so when I had my twins,
Right.
that's stressful on the body. It created a cyst in my right eye. So when you have both eyes, there's generally one eye that is your naturally distant eye and your near eye. But they focus together and they work in conjunction. They see far, they see near, but you're going to have a dominant eye just like you have a dominant hand, right? So my right eye was my dominant eye. And now it developed the cyst. And so when it developed the cyst, things were blurry and I was like, what's going on? I couldn't see so much. And so they said everything's wavy. So I had to wear glasses to correct that. And then I didn't want to wear glasses. So then what we did is, because my left eye actually, when you tested it separately, was better seeing distance than my right eye, which was my dominant eye, which should have been distance. So we forced it to be my near eye because it had that cyst. So I put a contact in.
Okay.
So I became monovision. So that worked. So my right eye just was near and my left one was doing everything it's supposed to do, far and near. But as I aged, you start to have a problem and I couldn't see near as well and would need some adjustments with that. So doing the readers and things like that. But then, what happened during COVID, I was looking at the computer so much and not staring up, not stretching my eyes. I thought that was the reason. I still think that probably created that. My eyes started changing. And so then my right eye was better at seeing distant, was still distant. My left eye could see near. And it was just like, I couldn't wear the contact anymore. And then all of a sudden it switched. It switched naturally back to what it's supposed to be. So that is my right eye is back to seeing distant, and that little blippy thing, because I've gotten adjusted to it, doesn't seem to bother me, so I don't need to wear anything for that. And my left eye is now my near eye. So so my brain just said, okay, we're switching it around. And I know that sometimes people have a hard time adjusting, but I've forced it for so long. I've been monovision for so long. I still do my sports and everything, but I'm just used to having that. And so my left eye is my near one.
So I know one thing. If you and I drive anywhere, I'll drive. And a lot of people, as they age, and speaking of driving, find it hard to drive at night or to see at night. Is that an early indicator of cataracts?
Yeah, it could be the cataracts, because you're going to get that, the halo and things like that. So yes, some changes in there.
And what about light adjustable lens versus mono? You just described that versus the monovision.
Yeah.
And that only the lens can be adjusted after surgery with UV light. How does that work?
So for the cataracts, what they do is, I think the insurance, they make everybody far. So when you get the lens in, you're just farsighted. So you're gonna have to wear glasses. So after you get the cataracts, and then things are going to look brighter, things are clearer and everything, and then you have to wear glasses, back to wearing glasses. And that is covered by most insurance, that's covered by insurance as I understand. If you want to become, like me, monovision, and then you just have a period, and they make one of those lenses where they can see mid-range and near, I think you have to pay for that. So those were our only choices, but now they have this new technology. Well, no, they have another technology, which is a multifocal lens where you can see far and you can see near. So that one is also not covered, but that one has that effect of the halo effect. So night vision seems to be kind of an issue. So you'll have to wear glasses to drive, and that halo can be bothersome to some people. But then during the day, you don't have to wear anything because you can see far and near. So there's an advantage to that. And then you just wear the glasses at night. And then this new technology that they have is this light UV adjustable. So they put the lens in, and I think the downside of it, well, it's costly because it's new, so it's more costly than others. It's not covered. The disadvantage, I think, is because recovery time from cataract is quite rapid. I mean, you can't do sports and things for 2 weeks, but you have clear vision a couple of days and you're doing your routines, no problem. You just have to wear glasses.
And avoid rubbing your eyes.
Getting wet, stuff. And just wear the glasses, and you can do pretty much anything. With the light adjustable, you have to go in multiple times. So, they put it in, and they do it, and your vision's not quite right. Then you can go back in, and they just use UV. I don't really know. I'm not an ophthalmologist. I don't really know. They put it in, and they shine it. They do something to it, and it adjusts. And then you go try that for a few weeks and see how you like it. If that's it, then you're done. If you don't like it, then you go back in, and then they do it. So they can do that 3 times to get it perfect. But once they've done those 3 times, that's it. You're set. So that can be, a month or 2, adjustments going back and forth. And some people are just like, I don't want that. But they can pretty much get you back to 20/20 with that. But it's not guaranteed, of course. So there's that back and forth, getting adjusted, and then you just don't get it just right, and then you spend all that money. So it's always what I say on decisions, because I'm always giving people recommendations, advice. It's always, what would you regret? That's all. It's all about regret. Shoot, I regret that I wasn't monovision. Shoot, I regret I didn't get the multifocal and annoyed with the glowing in the dark. Or, it's all about regret. I try to have no regret. I have no regrets. So that's what I want for my patients, no regrets.
I am one of the worst, I go every year. I have a yearly eye exam, and I just figure it's part. If I'm going to get a physical, I may as well get an eye exam as well at the same time. I'm not good with people looking at my eyes. I can't even really put eye drops in. If I ever used eye drops, I'd have to put them in the corner and then let them fly.
Yeah.
I'm not good with things in my eye.
Yeah. Many people are like that.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
You get creeped out by that stuff. And what I'm getting from this conversation is that all of the cataracts and all that can be avoided by simply taking care of our guts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking better care.
Yes, just taking better care of ourselves.
Right.
Don't have any head trauma.
Right.
Eat better.
Right.
Eat a lot of fiber, have your gut. Yeah, decrease inflammation. It is all about inflammation and detoxification. It's that simple. And being in a clean environment. I don't know where the statistics came from, but I heard this. In the U.S., you would think that we are is one of the number 1 nations around the world, right? Well, and there are certain segments of our population where life expectancy is around 80. There's another certain segment of the population, probably more, part of the country, that their life expectancy is 60.
Yeah.
So it's based on...
It's down south, and it's the deep fried foods of Louisiana and Alabama and Florida. That area of the country has a lower life expectancy than, for instance, California or New York.
They're not taking care of their gut.
Right.
They have more inflammation. So it's diet, nutrition, all of that. So yes, nutrition pays, it pays to be mindful about your eating. And that's what I teach all. When my patients come in, it's just teaching them how. So I'll say, okay, so this weekend you're gonna pig out at Memorial Day, have all that barbecue charred food with some alcohol and a lot of sweets and everything. Next day, we gotta detox, we gotta clean, we gotta decrease the inflammation, we gotta think about it. You can't do it again, and you gotta move, or if you're gonna do all of that stuff and that day, then you gotta move that day. So a lot of people just don't know the little tweaks. Once they've learned all the little tweaks that I teach them, they're good, but that's what it is. I am the live version of Noom. I've been doing this before Noom.
Yeah.
Yes.
That I described you as the live version of Noom.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, in a conversation last November, I remember at the party over here. So someone comes in, someone of, let's say, 60 years old walks into your office, and their vision is getting worse. By changing their diet, by taking care of their gut, by doing these things, can they reverse that?
Okay, so if it's a cataract, technically no.
Okay.
There's no studies. There are a few. So there are some carnosine, antioxidants. And I don't know if there's actually, they've been doing some studies that shows that it has improved. There's another helping your telomeres being longer. That's your DNA and getting longer. They've had some people who have their vision has improved. You know, taking the supplement, AstraZeneca, zeaxanthin, and leucin has improved. So depending on your stage. So if you already have an opaque lens that's and it's progressing, yeah, you're going to need surgery. But maybe if it's very minor, maybe it can improve. So a lot of these things, people's health do improve, things improve, but when I say it's a cure, it can reverse, not 100%, not guaranteed. Do some people anecdotally, do I have that happen? Yes.
I don't know if you heard this morning, but I was talking about research in our colleges, and the fact that the funding for many colleges has been slashed, the funding for research, and that of all of the research universities in the world, 9 of the top 10 research universities are in China, and number 1, though, that's 2 through 10, number 1 is Harvard University. And Harvard, under the threat from this administration of having funding slashed for all of the magnificent work that they do on all different kinds of research. And it's a little, it's maddening, and if you heard me this morning, it was a little upsetting, but it's so counterproductive and counterintuitive to where we want to be. We may fall off the list of great research university countries. And just a week ago, less than a week ago, HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. announced that CDC would no longer recommend COVID-19 vaccinations for healthy children and pregnant women. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness. So, you know, I have relatives, my brother's in Boston, so we are very connected, and he's in academia, and so we are very touched by that. So there are researchers who have lost their funding, and there's one that was studying cancer. So now all of a sudden, all the 20 years of research that they did, funding stopped. All their work stopped.
Which stops everything.
Just stopped. So that's information for us to take care of us. The other one, this was just on a walk, talking to with people walking dogs, and there's like then another one, immunology, research funding stopped, just gone. Other one was biotech and biotech. So all of these research is to help us to have better quality of lives and nose. Just like you asked me, what are the studies for the eyes? Well, we need the funding, we need the research, and to know more data so I can give you not just anecdotal information. So there's a difference. When I tell you something that's a clinical, been studied, and has been proven versus anecdotal. Right? So a lot of people are just going over anecdotal and thinking that that is the gold standard, and they're believing that, which is not right. You need to have the science and have it proven and be able to replicate it to know that it actually works. So to say that you are just unilaterally not going to have vaccines for children and pregnant ladies, just unilaterally, when the studies show that is beneficial and helps, and you don't have an MD, a PhD, or anything, you're a lawyer and a politician, and you just single-handedly say this, where there are studies that show we had 2,000 children die of COVID, and 90% of those were unvaccinated. So the vaccination, so now we are going to not allow pregnant ladies get vaccinated at the end. And actually it's really funny, because you can be, to get a vaccination of COVID, you have to be 65 and have all these conditions, and one of those conditions is being pregnant. But then on the other side, he says no pregnant lady's going to get it. So you have this contradictory statement, which doesn't make sense to me.
Which is most of what he says is
So that didn't make sense. And so then the pregnant ladies, if they get it, will pass on immunity to their baby, which will cover them for 6 months, right? Because that's where they get their protection. Now they're not going to have it. And then they talk about this is, and they want to put this label on the COVID vaccine that is very common and highly dangerous, that you're going to get myocarditis, which is not true. The studies didn't bear that out. Yes, everything has it has an adverse effect, and yes, what you're giving is a virus, and the virus causes myocarditis. The virus is causing it, right? And then if you look at the studies that actually came out, the people who are not vaccinated, mostly male, young teenage, they had myocarditis. Unvaccinated was more severe, and severe outcomes and death. And those vaccinated who got myocarditis was mild and not severe, and no death.
And just to be clear, myocarditis is a swelling of the heart.
Inflammation of the heart, yes. Yeah, you get it with viruses. So I see people, they come in with chest pain and everything, and I'll say, yeah, you got myocarditis, it was a virus, take Motrin.
Okay.
That's my treatment, because and then they're having pain, they're having all, yes, we get it with other viruses, but this is one that COVID does that.
I wanna list off just some, and a lot of people call it misinformation. It's lies. I want to list off the lies that Secretary Kennedy has a history of making or has made. One of them, of course, we've covered, is he previously claimed the COVID-19 vaccines were approved without any scientific basis, despite extensive clinical trials to demonstrate their safety and efficacy, which you just called us out on. And after I tell you this list, I've got an idea, kind of a theory, and I want you to kick it away or sweep it with me. But he also said that he's falsely stated that the vaccines don't reduce the transmission of the virus, and we know that that contradicts evidence showing the vaccinations significantly lower the risk of the spread of COVID. And also the misuse of adverse event reporting. He cited unverified reports from the adverse events, and that's what we're talking about with myocarditis, right? To claim that COVID-19 vaccines are the deadliest vaccines ever made. That's just not true. So my theory is, yes, they're pulling away funding from research laboratories at college campuses and universities, and at the same time, they're spreading this false narrative about things that can be proven that he's wrong in these research laboratories. It stinks to me.
Oh, it's worse than stink, because what he's doing is so now you had checks and balances like we had in the government. I don't know why people don't want checks and balances. Okay, I'm just going to go off on a tangent.
Go, girl, go.
I feel like I'm living back in when Mao Zedong came, right? He took all the elite, all the educated, and said, no, we can't have smart people anymore. You gotta all go work in the communes, and just all etiquette, education, all of that went. And now look at them. What are they doing? They're rebuilding that up. My family is from that era. I know so many people who were thrown in and blacklisted. I mean, so I just feel like we got the Red Guards coming back in the United States, and about education. We need to have that, right? So we need education, and I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, so what did you ask me about the vaccination?
Is the fact that could it be that they are reducing funding, chopping funding from, like, for instance, Harvard and other universities simply to meet their narrative?
Okay, well, yeah, so there, but the scary part is that these checks and balances, when vaccines were being, when they're gonna come out, you have a board of experts who actually study biology and immunology and all of these. So these are all of these great minds. They take a vote, they look at the data, they do the studies, and they make a consensus, and they decide on what is the best thing. And then you have the FDA looks for the safety, and they look at the they give the recommendation, then it goes to the CDC, then it goes to all these committees, and then they give this recommendation to the head of CDC, which we don't even have a head, and then that person then will say, okay, this is what all these people have decided. Now we have this one person, not medical, a lawyer and a politician, just says, okay, we're not going to do that, and we're going to do these studies some other crazy way. And so that means when CDC doesn't cover it, that insurance doesn't cover it. So if insurance doesn't cover it, and if you want it, that means you have to pay for it. And then if it's not going to be covered, that means that the companies are not going to make vaccines. That we are not going to have vaccines. Okay, so you're going to tell me public health is number one, and we have all these people, great minds, who just graduated, and we don't have public health. So sanitation and hand washing, let's covering your nose, let's just throw it all out the window, because public health doesn't matter. We don't care anymore. Let's just not take what is known and what we could save. 2,000 kids died of COVID, 90% of them not vaccinated. Why is that okay? Why is that? This is not right. Why do you get me like this? I come in here just to talk about medicine.
I stir the pot. I've been known as a pot stirrer from way back. Okay, and allow me to elaborate on why I do this. Is because if I'm the one who's constantly shouting this out from the top of every roof and mountain, yeah, but I'm a radio guy. You are a scientist, you're a doctor, you experience these things, you have done research, you've been on the ground with virus outbreaks. You have the credibility, and I can see where you do, and I can see where when it angers you, when you get like this, that it is important enough to maybe, if one person who thought otherwise would now listen, I think that's a start. That's a step in the right direction.
It's frustrating.
Sorry I make you so. Sorry I get you riled up like this. And all things aside, and that aside, and we might circle back to that, or maybe in another conversation down the road. Your facility here in Laguna Beach deals with wellness, and we started the conversation off with cataracts, even though it's common, it doesn't have to be inevitable. Because if you take care of your gut, which I'm hearing not just, since you first mentioned this to me 6 months ago, whatever, I'm hearing it more and more everywhere.
Yeah.
Take care of your gut and everything else falls into
I'm sure
place.
that research is going to stop. We're going to hear less about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, the great kids that would be in these colleges are now getting plucked away by other countries. The United Kingdom, the European Union is now, Australia, Canada, all of these countries are now looking to these now disenfranchised kids to come to their countries and their universities and do research there.
Right.
So we are literally falling down the ladder.
We are no longer going to be number one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see why that is good. Having research coming out of Harvard and helping us, and having great minds, having diversity, and just thinking out of the box. It makes a difference. You need all this cultural differences and ideas, things. One other. Now that you got me riled up, there's one other I just have to say is that I looked at the CDC and look at the things. They have things posted there from September 2024. I suppose the last update was May 12th. It's so far behind. I don't even know what they have coming out of there is true or not. But they did list a lot of outbreaks out there. I was shocked. I'm like, oh, they put the outbreaks, but you notice what all the outbreaks were salmonella. And now that they've cut all the inspections because for salmonella, I said it was going to rise, and I'm like, oh, look at that, another salmonella outbreak here and here and here, and oh yeah, I said yeah. Well, and they're posting it, so I was like, okay, well, I don't know.
It's cause and effect, and as any scientist will tell you, cause and effect.
Yes.
Salmonella is deadly.
Yes.
It can be deadly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I round you up. Get you ready for the rest of the day. And if someone does, and let's just say that someone realizes because of this conversation that they're really not taking care of their gut health and they do need to turn to you, how do we find you?
So, you know what I always tell people, I am not here to steal you away from your primary care doctor. I work in collaboration with them. So, you know, they're looking for disease. They'll tell you, if you have diabetes, go diet and exercise. And what I do is look at your unique blueprint to see what kind of diet and exercise you need to do. How is your cellular functioning? How is that working for you? How well is your inflammation? We keep it down and then check to see what is your age, your biological age. Is it older? Is it the same? Or is it younger? And then we make these changes slowly and adapt to them. And then if you can't do it yourself, I have technology that I can help you and cutting edge that we can just in 30 minutes build your muscles up and build up the muscles of longevity, help the core, help the pelvis. So much that we can do. Just book a call with me. You can DM me at Instagram. You can text me at 949-734-0585. Or you can book a complimentary discovery call on the website, ANITAWANGMD.com, and I'll talk to you then.
I got to tell you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, there is no conversation more important than the one that you and I have each Monday. I'm not kidding. It's about health. It's about life. It's a life or death conversation that we have here. And thank you very much for being as honest as you are with your science, with your scientific approach.
Yeah, we want everybody to be healthy.
Dr. Anita Wang, each and every Monday at 11 o'clock, 11:44 the time. It's the Mornings with Ed show on the all-new Voice of Laguna. We all want